Welcome to this video which has the potential to transform your life. You didn't arrive here by chance. You're here because deep down you recognize that something isn't quite right. You've made efforts to maintain your motivation. You've worked on developing positive habits. You've watched videos, perused quotes, and created plans, but you're still stuck. You're still overthinking things. You're still procrastinating. You're still getting in your own way. And you've begun to question whether something is wrong with you. Why do you sabotage your own success? Why do you know what needs to be done but still fail to do it? Allow me to share a truth that no one has ever taught you. Not in school, not in college, not even at home. It's not about your willpower. It's not about your motivation. It's about your brain. Yes, your brain is both the problem and the solution. Your brain isn't lazy or broken. It's simply performing the functions it was trained to perform. Even if that training resulted from trauma, toxic individuals, negative thoughts, social media, repeated exposure to fear, failure, and unconscious patterns. You see, your brain governs 95% of your life through your subconscious mind. This means that only 5% of your day is under the control of your conscious goals, with the remainder being governed by automatic, invisible mental programs that were written by your past, not your future. So, even if you declare, I want to wake up early, I want to build my business, I want to achieve success, your brain, if it has been trained for fear, failure, distraction, and comfort, will resist you. That's why motivation quickly fades. That's why you constantly start over, because your brain continues to operate on the same outdated system. You were taught how to brush your teeth. You were taught mathematics. You were taught how to follow rules. However, you were never taught how to train your mind, which is your most powerful asset. Consider this. No one ever taught you how to control your thoughts. No one ever taught you how to reprogram your self-talk. No one ever taught you how to become mentally unbreakable. And now you find yourself here, intelligent, capable, and talented, yet still stuck. This is because your mind is operating on outdated code. And if you don't reprogram that code, if you don't train your brain to achieve success, you'll spend your entire life underachieving, filled with dreams but lacking in results. That ends today. In this video, I will provide you with the 9 most effective mental strategies for rewiring your brain from the inside out. These aren't mere hacks or motivational techniques, but rather strategies forged from psychology, neuroscience, obsession, and unvarnished truth. These strategies are employed by the world's most successful individuals, not because they possess greater intelligence, but because they have trained their brains to think and act differently, and to master their emotions. You're about to learn how to do the same step by step. This isn't just a video to watch. It's a video to experience, as every second is designed to transform your mind and your life. And as you watch, you're not only training your brain, but you're also improving your English by listening, learning new vocabulary, and thinking in English throughout the process. Let's get started. Strategy 1: Mind override. If you don't control your thoughts, they will control your entire life. What exactly is mind override? Mind override is the ability to consciously interrupt your automatic thoughts and replace them with intentional, positive commands. It's the way to break free from the mental autopilot that keeps you stuck. It's the way to stop the downward spiral of negativity before it consumes you. It's the way to stop being a victim of your own mind and start taking control of it. Most people never override their minds. They simply obey them. He simply whispered one sentence. We don't skip greatness. He got out of bed and trained. And that moment, that override changed his life. Years later, Brandon said, that one override at 2 a.m. taught my brain that my mission takes precedence over my mood, and that's what distinguishes winners. They don't obey the first thought. They override it. The final truth about this weapon. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your impulses. You are the commander of your mind if you choose to be. And if you want to truly win in life, you must master the art of mind override. Because a weak mind listens to itself, while a strong mind speaks to itself and follows orders. This is your first weapon. Master it, and your brain will never be your enemy again. Strategy 2: Repetition ritual. You don't become what you do once. You become what you repeat daily. What is a repetition ritual? A repetition ritual is a powerful mental strategy that transforms your brain through one of the most mysterious but proven principles of success, greater than neuroplasticity. the brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you repeat. Yes, your brain isn't fixed or permanent. It's constantly changing based on what you do repeatedly. The problem is that most people repeat the wrong things. Negative self-talk, scrolling through social media, complaining, comparing, overthinking, quitting and restarting, telling themselves, "I'll never change." And guess what? Each time they repeat these things, their brain learns to believe them. Repetition isn't just a habit, it's identity programming. What you repeat is what you become. That's why the world's most successful people create a ritual, not just a routine. A non-negotiable ritual of repetition that programs their brain to win, not lose. Your brain is composed of billions of cells called neurons, which communicate with each other through electrical signals. Kobe replied, "Because every time I repeat it, I'm not just training my body, I'm programming my brain." His brain didn't need to think or hesitate. When the pressure mounted, his body knew what to do because the ritual had trained the response. That's what repetition does. It eliminates fear, silences doubt, and creates automatic excellence. Now let's make this practical. You don't need 4 a.m. You need non-negotiables. A repetition ritual is something so simple but so consistent that it rewires your brain over time. Examples: 10 minutes of reading every morning to train your brain to learn. Writing, "I am becoming unstoppable" 10 times daily to rewire self-belief. Practicing English sentences every evening to train fluency. Saying your vision out loud in the mirror to rewire identity. Going on a 20-minute walk without your phone to train stillness and clarity. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you repeat it with military consistency, not when you feel like it or when life is easy, but especially when it's hard. That's when the brain learns the most. And remember this. The goal of repetition isn't perfection, it's transformation. You're not repeating to become perfect. You're repeating to become someone else. Someone stronger, more focused, and who doesn't quit. You're already repeating something every day. The question is whether that repetition is building you up or breaking you down. This strategy, the repetition ritual, is how you silently take control of your life day by day. No noise, no drama, just powerful, intentional action repeated with obsession. And one day the people around you will ask, "How did you change? What happened? How did you become so focused and fearless?" And you'll smile because they didn't see the thousands of silent repetitions you did when no one was watching. But your brain saw it, your future felt it, and your life became it. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your rituals. Train your brain through repetition and it will start to fight for your future. This is your second mental weapon. Use it with purpose. Repeat it until your mind bends in your favor, and you'll never go back to the old you again. Weapon 3. Pain conditioning. If you avoid pain, you also avoid power because pain is the gym of the mind. What is pain conditioning? Pain conditioning is the mental strategy employed by those who understand a fundamental truth. Your brain doesn't grow from comfort. It grows from controlled suffering, facing fear, walking into discomfort, and repeatedly choosing what's difficult. The word conditioning refers to training a system to become stronger under pressure, and pain, whether emotional or physical, is the most powerful tool you can use to build your mental fortitude. Let me be frank. Most people want a better life, but they don't want the pain that comes with building it. They desire confidence but avoid rejection. They want success but avoid risk. They want discipline but avoid discomfort. They want transformation but avoid the breaking process. And that's why they fail, because comfort is a drug. And every time you choose comfort, you weaken your mental strength. Pain conditioning is about reversing this equation. It's about training your brain to crave challenge, to embrace the idea that discomfort makes you stronger. Here's the science behind it. When you voluntarily step into difficult situations, your brain releases dopamine after the effort, not before. This means that when you train yourself to do hard things, your brain learns to enjoy earning pleasure, not escaping pain. That's the real difference between winners and everyone else. Winners train their brains to feel rewarded after discipline, while average people train their brains to chase instant gratification. Pain conditioning also activates parts of your brain associated with emotional resilience and decision-making. When you push through discomfort, you're not just toughing it out, you're literally rewiring your brain to become emotionally stronger. Let me give you the most extreme example of pain conditioning. David Goggins, a man who went from being overweight, abused, and broken to becoming a Navy SEAL ultra-runner world record holder, and the definition of mental toughness. But how? Not motivation, not self-love, quotes Payne. Goggins did things that most people would never even consider. He ran with broken legs. He trained while bleeding. He pushed his body beyond what seemed humanly possible. And every time Payne screamed at him, he screamed back, "You will not beat me today." In his book, Can't Hurt Me, he shares one story of running a 100-mile race. His feet were broken, his legs swollen, and his urine was full of blood. Most people would quit, but he didn't. Why? Because he had trained his brain to view pain not as a signal to stop, but as a signal to rise. That is pain conditioning. You don't need to run 100 miles or bleed, but you do need to become uncomfortable on purpose. Pain conditioning is built through small daily decisions. Taking a cold shower to train your discomfort response. Saying no to instant pleasure to build control. Working when you're tired to push your mental limits. Finishing tasks even when they're boring to build endurance. Facing what you fear to stretch your emotional resistance. Every time you walk into pain instead of running from it, your brain recognizes that you're becoming dangerous, that you don't break easily, and that you're different. Now here's what most people don't realize. Pain doesn't stop you, the fear of pain does. But when you train with pain, you remove the fear. You teach your brain that you can survive heartbreak, being ignored, losing, and exhaustion, and you can still keep going. That belief, earned through experience, makes you mentally bulletproof. You don't grow by feeling good. You grow by facing pain with purpose. Pain isn't your enemy. It's your personal trainer. And every time you intentionally, consciously, and powerfully step into it, you become the kind of person who conquers instead of collapsing. Use pain conditioning because comfort makes you soft, but controlled pain makes you unstoppable. Weapon 4. Identity hack. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of who you believe you are. What is an identity hack? This is one of the most potent strategies ever discovered. An identity hack is the act of rewriting the internal narrative that dictates who you are, what you deserve, and what's possible for you. Because every decision you make, every habit you cultivate, and every belief you hold stems from your identity, not your goals. Your identity is your mental operating system. If your identity proclaims, "I'm lazy," no productivity system will save you. "I'm not smart enough," no course can fix that. "I always give up," your brain will sabotage everything. "I'm not meant for success," you'll remain insignificant no matter what you try. But when you hack that identity, when you rewrite that narrative, you unlock a new version of yourself. One who acts decisively, believes fearlessly, and pursues goals that once seemed unattainable. Why do most people remain trapped in old identities? Because they don't even realize their identity is programmed. Where did it come from? Childhood criticism, academic failures, toxic relationships, societal judgment, past mistakes, and repeated negative remarks from others that eventually felt true. The worst part is that they begin to defend their limitations, saying things like, "That's just who I am. I'm not a morning person. I've always been this way. I don't have confidence." But that's not the truth. It's their identity trapping them in the past. There's a psychological concept called self-schema. The blueprint your brain uses to define itself. Your brain will work tirelessly to ensure that your behavior aligns with your identity, even if that identity is harmful. This means that if you perceive yourself as weak, your brain will create weakness. If you see yourself as unworthy, your brain will reject opportunities. If you see yourself as a failure, your brain will seek ways to lose. But the opposite is also true. If you rewrite your identity, your brain will start to build actions and beliefs around that new version of you. Muhammad Ali didn't say, "I hope to be the greatest." He declared, "I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was." Ali didn't wait for the world to believe in him. He spoke his new identity aloud repeatedly, until his brain caught up. And once his brain believed it, his body, his discipline, and his talent all followed. This is the power of an identity hack. You speak it before you become it. You act like it before you feel ready. You embody that version of yourself and reality eventually catches up. How can you use an identity hack daily? Define the identity you desire. Don't just say, "I want to be successful." Say, "I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am a focused, calm, and powerful human being. I don't escape life, I lead it. Repeat it aloud morning, night, and whenever you feel insignificant. Act in alignment even when it feels forced. Your actions don't need to be perfect. They need to match your new identity. Track your successes to demonstrate to your brain that this is real. Now, every repetition carves this new identity deeper into your subconscious. You will never become what you desire. You will only become what you believe you are. So don't wait for permission, proof, or approval from others. Create the identity that reflects the future you desire, and act as if it already belongs to you. Because the mind doesn't follow goals, it follows identity. Weapon 5: Dopamine shutdown. Until you break your addiction to cheap pleasure, your brain will never pursue real purpose. What is dopamine shutdown? To understand this strategy, you must understand dopamine, the chemical that governs what you pursue in life. Dopamine isn't happiness, it's motivation. It's what gets you out of bed, makes you reach for your phone, and drives you to win or scroll. But here's the problem. Your brain isn't designed for modern life. It's designed for survival. And the world around you is hijacking that survival system. In ancient times, your brain released dopamine when you hunted, built, solved problems, and endured pain. Now your brain rewards you with dopamine when you open TikTok, get a like on Instagram, eat junk food, watch Netflix, view adult content, and avoid doing hard things. And every time you repeat this, your brain lowers the bar for what it considers a reward. This means that when it's time to focus, study, build a business, read, or think deeply, your brain is already exhausted, distracted, and addicted to easy pleasure. That's why you lose focus, feel lazy, and experience racing thoughts filled with anxiety. Because your dopamine system is broken, not by nature, but by daily habits. Why do most people never escape this trap? Because dopamine addiction feels normal. It's everywhere, it's rewarded, and it's marketed. You see people scrolling for 7 hours a day and calling it relaxing. You see people binge-watching shows they don't even enjoy. You see people chasing likes and follows as if they're oxygen. They don't realize their brains are being rewired for weakness, weak attention spans, poor decision-making skills, weak emotional control, and weak motivation. The worst part is that they begin to feel empty even when surrounded by entertainment. They can't enjoy silence, sit still, or think clearly, because their minds are overstimulated and undertrained. When your brain becomes accustomed to constant stimulation, the dopamine receptors become dulled. This means that even when something truly important happens, such as starting a dream project, finishing a workout, or learning a new skill, your brain doesn't reward it. It feels boring and difficult, and it doesn't give you the same rush as a YouTube short or a notification. This creates the modern disease of the mind, an addiction to distraction. But when you initiate a dopamine shutdown, when you intentionally eliminate low-quality stimulation, your brain starts to heal. It begins to crave deep work, real purpose, and genuine rewards. That's when focus returns, joy becomes real again, and your brain becomes a tool of power, not pleasure. Let's talk about someone real. There was a man in his early 30s who used to be a top student in university, sharp, focused, and disciplined. But after college, life changed. He became addicted to screens and spent 8 hours a day on social media. He couldn't read even one page of a book without checking his phone. He stopped exercising and couldn't sit in silence for even 5 minutes. He tried everything: planners, to-do lists, and motivational videos, but nothing worked. His brain had been hijacked by dopamine. One day he made a bold decision. He cut out all low dopamine activities for 30 days. No YouTube, no Instagram, no junk food, no unnecessary internet, and no mindless entertainment. At first, it was torture. His brain craved stimulation like a drug addict. But after 10 days, something shifted. He could sit in silence, began to write again, read an entire book, walked for 2 hours, and thought deeply. He felt emotions again: clarity, sadness, joy, and ambition, without needing to escape them. After 30 days, he said, "I got my brain back." That's the power of dopamine shutdown. How can you use this strategy in real life? You don't have to give up everything, but you do have to regain control. Start with these steps. 1. Choose one high dopamine habit to eliminate for 7 days, for example, no social media after 6 p.m. or no short-form videos. 2. Replace it with low dopamine activities such as walks in nature, journaling, reading 5 pages, silence, stretching, or meaningful conversations. 3. Track how your brain feels. You'll notice more clarity, energy, and peace. 4. Repeat and increase the challenge. Your goal isn't to escape forever. It's to reset your brain to feel rewarded by real life again. The war for your mind is a war of dopamine. The enemy isn't laziness. It's overstimulation. If you're serious about building a powerful brain, you have to train it to crave deep work, embrace slow and steady growth, and appreciate real-life experiences. You need to cut out the cheap thrills to unlock your true potential. Think of it as weapon number 6, target lock. The idea is that your mind can either wander aimlessly or focus with laser precision, but it can't do both simultaneously. Target lock is all about that intense, unwavering focus. It's the ability to lock your attention onto a single goal, a single task, a single mission, and tune out everything else. It's basically the opposite of what modern life encourages. Modern life bombards you with multitasking, switching between tabs, constantly checking your phone, and juggling 5 things at once. All done halfway. But target lock trains your brain to become obsessed with one thing at a time, because obsession is what builds empires. This is what separates the writers who never actually finish a book, the creators who give up after a month and a half, and the entrepreneurs who keep jumping from one idea to another, from the people who lock in so intensely that the world can't help but take notice. His body was strong, his diet was clean, and his training schedule was perfect, but he kept quitting and he didn't know why. Then one day he sat down and listened to his self-talk. He realized he had one repeating thought every single time he felt tired. You're not built for this. You always give up. He didn't say it out loud, but it ran silently through his head like background music. So he decided to rewire it. He created a new sentence. I'm the kind of person who finishes, even when it hurts. He repeated it daily during runs, before sleep, and in the mirror. After 90 days, something changed. He ran his first marathon and finished it. He didn't stop early, and he didn't panic at mile 20, because his inner voice had changed its orders, and his brain obeyed. How do you use self-talk rewire? Every day become aware of your current self-talk. Journal your repeated thoughts and ask yourself, would I speak like this to someone I love? Create your new mental script. I finish what I start. I'm still learning, but I don't quit. Every day I repeat this and I rewire who I am. Repeat it during high-pressure moments in the gym, while working, before a meeting, or after a failure. That's when the brain is listening the loudest. Speak out loud, write it down, or record it. Use your own voice to reshape your internal voice. Your brain becomes what it hears the most. If that voice is your enemy, your brain will attack your future. If that voice becomes your coach, your brain will fight for your destiny. So ask yourself, what voice do I want guiding my life? Because the loudest voice becomes your truth. Rewire your self-talk or be ruled by a voice that was never yours to begin with. Weapon number 9. Mental warfare mode. The battlefield isn't your life. The battlefield is your mind. And if you don't go to war with it, you will be defeated by it. Mental warfare mode isn't about thinking positive, being calm, or hoping things get better. This isn't about being soft. This is war. It's a mindset forged by brutal self-discipline, emotional control, and a refusal to be mentally broken, no matter what life throws at you. Because the truth is, life will attack you. People will betray you, plans will collapse, fear will whisper in your ear, and doubt will poison your progress. And your own mind, yes, your own thoughts will try to convince you to stop, to quit, to settle. Mental warfare mode is the decision to fight back, to become so mentally sharp, so emotionally grounded, and so psychologically armed that nothing breaks you, not even yourself. Because nobody told you this, your mind isn't naturally your friend. Your mind is built for survival, not success. Let me explain. Your brain's job isn't to make you rich, happy, or confident. Its job is to keep you safe, even if that means staying in fear, avoiding risk, rejecting growth, hiding from rejection, and choosing comfort over greatness. And when you don't train for mental war, your mind will overthink every step, panic under pressure, doubt your worth, run from challenges, and protect you from failure by never letting you try. This isn't weakness. It's just your brain doing its job until you override it. That's what mental warfare mode is all about, training your mind to follow your mission, not your mood, to obey your goals, not your emotions, and to serve your vision, not your fears. Every thought you allow builds a mental pathway, And just like in physical training, the more you practice strength, the stronger it becomes. But the opposite is also true. Practice doubt daily, and doubt becomes your default. Practice complaining daily, and pain becomes your personality. Practice quitting early, and your mind will suggest it every time. Neuroscience shows that your brain doesn't care what you think. It simply reinforces whatever you repeat. Mental warfare mode means you no longer allow useless thinking, emotional outbursts, uncontrolled fear, or storytelling in your head that makes you weak. You declare, I am not my emotions. I am not my past. I am not my thoughts. I am the one who chooses what lives in my mind. That's power, that's control, and that's victory. Let's talk about the most painful and powerful example of mental warfare ever recorded. Viktor Frankl was a neurologist and psychiatrist. He was also a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp during the Holocaust. He was stripped of his clothes, his family was murdered, and his dignity, his home, and his freedom were all gone. But inside that nightmare, he made a decision that would become one of the greatest mental weapons in human history. He said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Frankl realized that his body was trapped and his world was collapsing, but his mind was still his. And so he went to war against despair, against hatred, and against the voice that said, give up, against the hopelessness all around him. He trained himself to find meaning in his suffering, he imagined his future, he held on to his vision, and he helped other prisoners. He mentally rebuilt himself inside hell. And when he survived and was finally free, he wrote a book that has changed millions of lives. Man's Search for Meaning. A book that teaches one truth. If you master your mind, they can never break you. That is mental warfare mode. How do you activate mental warfare mode? Name the war you're in: fear of failure, emotional breakdowns, procrastination, shame from your past, or anxiety about the future. Call it what it is, because you can't win a war you won't name. Write your mental war orders. I will not obey fear. I choose power over panic. I do not break when it's hard, I sharpen. When I want to quit, I move forward with more force.